we look for how do we transcend it. See, so my approach is very solution oriented. It's extremely insightful. I've been blessed to be really, really good at what I do. And I think one of the things that helps a lot is the phenomenal love that I feel for people. So when I deliver my information, not only is it delivered efficiently and with a reasonable amount of accuracy, but with a tremendous amount of love. And I think the love is really what makes all of the difference, because then they can really feel the synergy with me. If they can really feel my love, then they can begin to absorb on a personal level some of my frequency. And they can understand some of what I'm saying to them from the premise of how I understand, because they're letting themselves feel a synergy and a oneness with me. Because see, I am their own self by extension. They are my own self by extension. So it becomes a very powerful experience. And even when I look at where there's heaviness or pain, I look beyond that. I look at higher possibilities, rather than seeing them as an affirmation of that low frequency that they're in. I acknowledge, okay, that's a human fact. And then I move beyond that and I begin to see a higher possibility for them. And they can feel that as well. And it's a way of empowering and serving the whole universe, because that which is done unto the drop is also done unto the ocean. And that which is done unto the drop is done unto every other drop, so. And lastly, when I do my readings, I always record and send, or email the recording to the client afterwards, because in the moment of the session, they receive the information subjectively. They are the subject sitting inside of their own experience. When they hear it after the fact, they hear it objectively, witnessing the exchange between us, which is a completely different vantage point of perceiving. So they'll get insights that didn't register in the same way in the moment of the session. So it's really good for them to have that. I even, record, any sound healings that I do also, so that they can, reactivate that frequency. Because every time is now, every space is here. Everyone is you, everyone is me, everyone is us. Well, I first and foremost am a sound healer. I am a musician, yes, and I'm a recording artist, but first and foremost, sound healer. Always using everything that I do with music and sound from the premise of bringing healing, bringing awakening of consciousness, bringing a person into the experience of birthing themselves into a greater absoluteness of selfhood. So from the very beginning, it's always been with the intention to heal. When I play the didgeridoo, I play it on the body. Didgeridoo, when played properly, is played with circular breathing, so there's no gaps in the sound. Even when I take a breath, there's still a stream of air being blown out, and so the sound is continuous. The uninterrupted sound is a reflection of the endless nature of eternity. So it's waking up the eternal connection within that person, and once again, calling them home to their absoluteness. When I do this work, I am way beyond the exclusiveness of this individual, Astarius Miraculii. I am in alignment with the all-inclusiveness of who I am as the universe portaling through the individual, Astarius Miraculii. See, the universe that I am can't fail. The universe that I am is infinitely successful in the healing ways. You see, and the universe that I am, AKA, the God beingness that I am, is tireless and cannot be drained. Many healers mention the experience of getting drained. When that happens, it's because they are over-identified with the exclusiveness of their individual being the source of the healing. And of course they get drained because they've splintered off from the all-inclusiveness of who they are. The energy is coming from the all that is through the individual, if there is a real genuine process of healing going on. So that's, what I bring to the table in my healing work. And so, quite often when I finish, I'm even higher than I was when I started. I'm also aware that I'm serving God through this person. See, and if I can remember that at the central core of this being is a resonance of God. And I love my Creator and I adore serving my Creator. So if I can remember that, I'm going to serve this individual that much better. And I'm also going to be a catalyst for them elevating into a greater alignment with their own Godhood, because that's what I'm seeing them as. And at some level, they're picking it up. We're also uniting the telepathic battery cables and initiating the soul jump start. I'm jump starting them with the frequency that I live in, because my exaltation is their exaltation, as theirs is mine, as the whole universe's exaltation is our exaltation. So I make crystal wands, and when I make them, I weave into them the resonance of the multidimensional ascended self, that's beyond all human woes and beyond all human pains. I use both science and spirit when I make these. So I work from the principle of electronics. So you see this antenna here. In electronics, this would be the main coil. Okay, this particular crystal, is a smoky citrine quartz crystal. Okay, this copper tube that, is all the way from here to there. Now, underneath the dressings is a network of wire wraps that link the crystal, and in electronics, that would be called the secondary coil. So the secondary coil is the means by which amplification takes place. So the power of the overall wand matrix is multiplied by the number of turns of wire in the secondary coil. I also make these in a way where I can take the cap off, and the tube is empty all the way through there, except that I put some bird seed, the food of flight, some lavender buds, and some rose petals in there. So it's a frequency of ascension. It's a frequency of love, like the love of self, the love of source, the love of the beloved, the love of friendships, the love of business associates, and on in that way. And the crystal symbolizes spirit. I use leathers and suedes, the skin of animal, our brother and sister in the flesh kingdom. So the leather and suede are symbolic of the physical body, merged with spirit, which is symbolized by the crystal. And down here is this stone down here that I have attached to the copper cap, is called Dravite, which is in the tourmaline family. It's brown tourmaline, but the actual specific term for it is Dravite. So anyway, that's the one. These can be used to meditate. You can put them on the different chakras. You can wheel them, move them through the energy field. They're extremely powerful. And I specifically like to use leathers and suede so that when a person owns a wand, gets a wand from me, as they work with it more and more, what happens is through the moisture in their hand, there's a transmission of their DNA into the wand, and so it becomes an extension of their own being, because the perspiration infuses their DNA in it, which is different than, let's say, wands that are made totally with metal. Not that the DNA can't merge to some extent, but it's a different merging because the leathers and the suedes are porous. So it's specifically on purpose that I like for that to be the handle of the wand. So that's my story of the crystal wand. We talked about the music. I guess the only other thing is that, the music is just there with the intention to heal and to transform. I also use binaural beats in a lot of my music now. Binaural beats where I embed it, where it's subliminal, and also the title track of my album, Spirit Rap, which has been my top-selling album and my most celebrated track. Many people say it has literally saved their life. So in a lot of my later CDs, what I've done is I've embedded binaural beats along with the invocation Spirit Rap.